Hello, hello. So today is day 16 of our 30-day challenge. And, I want to talk about why entrepreneurship is the best career move for nurses. And I think you will appreciate the three things that I'm going to share with you today. And and it's because it was something that I was actually having this conversation earlier, and I think I was on a podcast with American IV Association, and Dave mentioned something, how entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, right? Most clinicians, maybe 75%, I don't know what the percentage is, but let's just say 75%, they're in their roles, they're happy with it, and they're fine. But then there's this 25% that never knew what they didn't know, right? They didn't know what they could have by starting their own business, right? And it doesn't have to be anything big initially. But when you look at flexibility, right? Let's start there. Flexibility that honors your well-being, right? So as an entrepreneur, you get to set your pace, right? You get to set the pace. So no more rigid shifts or missed milestones with your family, or with your loved ones. I could remember working, and I've missed, baby showers, right? Or I missed, certain, engagement parties. Like I missed these things because I had to work, right? And you get to create your own schedule that supports your mental health, your family, and just your personal goals. And this just allows you to really serve others without sacrificing yourself, right? And the second thing I want to talk about is the control over your environment and your impact. Now, when you're working for someone else, you can't control who you serve as a client, right? As a nurse, you have to take the patient that rolls up onto the unit, right? Or you have to take the patient that comes into the emergency room. When you have your own business, you get to control who you want to serve. And if you know someone is not a good fit for your business, you get to decline that person, because everyone's not the client. Everyone's not the client. Everyone's not the customer. And you get to control who you serve. That's the beautiful thing. So instead of navigating the bureaucratic red tape and, or the toxic work environments, you get to design your own culture, right? And your own values. Whether you launch a wellness practice, whether you launch an IV hydration business, or coaching services, consulting services, you get to decide how you want to lead and who you want to have in your ecosystem. Right. And that kind of autonomy is a game changer. It truly, truly, truly is. And the third thing I want to share with you is your unlimited financial potential. When you have your own business, you know, you can start as a side business, and maybe you're just doing this on the side because you want to, it started off because maybe you just wanted to pay off your student loan debt, right? Maybe that's how it started. But then before you know it, it evolves, and you can do it as little or as much as you want, right? So let's be real. The ceiling in most nursing roles, there is frustratingly low, right? Because if an entrepreneurship removes that ceiling, and it removes that cap. So with multiple income streams, whether there's, products, services, speaking engagements, you can build the wealth on your own terms. And I don't think we think about that. And more importantly, you get to build a legacy and, not just a paycheck. And again, I don't think we think about that, but it's kind of like what David said earlier. We're not taught that, right? As clinicians, we're not taught that. We're taught, to be clinical. We're taught about anatomy and physiology. We're taught, it's not that anyone's wrong. That's just what we're taught. Well, because we're taught that way, we're programmed that way, and we're not programmed to think about entrepreneurship. And we're not programmed to think about our unlimited financial potential outside of, let me go and get this extra certification, or let me go and get this extra degree so that I can make X, Y, Z, right? But it's still about so that I can be marketable to someone else. rather than I can make myself marketable and build my brand and then remove the cap from my income, the ceiling from my income. So, nurse out, I'm going to leave you with this. Nurse entrepreneurship isn't just, it doesn't have to just be a side business. It's truly a movement. And there needs to be a shift in your mindset. There is freedom. There should be a mission behind it. And, if this is something that interests you, I definitely want you to join us at the Health and Wealth Expo Live Summit on May 15th and 16th. Make sure that you are sharing this information. I was sharing with David everything that we're going to be doing, all of the events, the workouts that are taking place. And he was just like, wow, that's unbelievable. You're really setting people up, because they're going to be sharing the IV hydration perspective and the legal counsel of what goes along with that. Because people need that. People need to know, how their business should be structured from a healthcare law perspective. They need to know the differences with the 503Bs and the different medications that, how their businesses should be set up when it comes to a medical practice. So that's their lane. But when I mention all of the other things that are taking place, and even if I shared with my mentees earlier that there's going to be, an HR consultant there, because I think we leave that part out. We think HR is what is her topic going to be called? The principal's office. When we think of HR, we think of the principal's office, but you need human resources in your business, because what happens? We're dealing with humans, right? We're dealing with people. So you need human resources in your business. And then also with the current climate of what's going on right now, you need to know that aspects of things too. And that's what she's going to be covering. Amanda Jackson's going to be covering, along with, again, the medical writing workshop, along with how to start a mental health practice as a nurse practitioner, along with Felicia Shankin talking about marketing, right? Because we don't want to just start a business. How do we launch and scale the business, right? So along with real estate, how you take that, use artificial intelligence, use AI to build your business. I mean, I could just go on and on about, what we're going to be talking about, our health equity discussion, the pitch competition. If you have not registered, make sure that you register. You go over to healthandwealthexpolive.com so that you can join us on May 15th and 16th. And just really, really think about, this as a movement. This is you shifting your mindset. This is you really utilizing your expertise and really being able to use your skills as what they call a recession-proof business, right? Use your skills to that being the burnout-proof business that you need and that you desire. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure that you look out for the upcoming the podcast, and be sure. Oh, there is a webinar that I'm going to be hosting on February 15th at 7 p.m. So join me for the webinar. It is the Burnout Escape Plan, where we're going to be doing just that, going through the simple strategies to help you to escape burnout and really build the business that you should and you deserve, or just escape burnout entirely so that you can start living a life that you deserve entirely. So, all right, guys. So I will see you tomorrow for day 17. Then we're going through our 30-day challenge. We're already at day 16. So we are going through. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 17. Please comment. Let me know what else you'd like to hear. I'd be happy to address it. So make sure that you guys join me for the webinar and for the expo. Talk soon.